Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is doing well today. Thank you so much for joining a brother to react to this educational video. Highly recommended, man, by my beautiful supporters. And we're actually early to this one. This is what, 4 months ago, man? This is like 4 months ago, man. Shout out to the Geography Bible. You see what I'm saying? Original video link will be in the description. Today, I will be reacting to and learning about the Isle of Man. The reason why I didn't say we is because I feel like a lot of my people in the UK already knew about this. Like, come on now. This is my first time knowing about this, but I feel like I've seen a comment before on my other channel, on the live channel, where I strictly react to like sporting content. Man, a few people was like, little do you know, man, it's not even in the UK. And I kind of like overlooked that comment. I'm not going to lie. I kind of overlooked it and was like, what that guy talking about? You know what I'm saying? I was like, what that guy talking about? Because I actually included a UK flag on that thumbnail. So I guess, you know, people took it to offense. It was like, yo, it's not even in the UK. And I'm looking at this right now, and Isle of Man is literally its own island in the middle, surrounded by water. Surrounded by water. I didn't know this. This is pretty cool. The UK is over here. I didn't know this. This is cool. So, like, you got to take a ferry or you got to take a boat or something to even get here, man. That's a vibe. Oh, my gosh. I would love to see it from, like, high up and everything. Maybe we'll check that out. Let's go ahead and jump right into this amazing video. What on earth is the Isle of Man? Not UK. Oh, my gosh.
In the Irish Sea, in between Great Britain and Ireland, you will find this very interesting island. The island in question is the Isle of Man. It is actually not part of the UK, nor is it a country or territory. So what on earth is it? What goes on there, and why does it have one of the weirdest flags on Earth? So let's swim across and investigate.
It is a cool flag though, I ain't gonna lie.
So as just mentioned, the island sits in the Irish Sea. Its closest point to England is about 31 kilometers away, and to Ireland about 51. The island is pretty small at 572 kilometers squared. This would rank it as the 179th largest country if it were a country. So if it's not a country, part of the UK, or a territory, what on earth is it? Well, the island is classed as a self-governing British Crown dependency. But what on earth does that gibberish actually mean? Well, it means that it manages its own affairs, such as laws and taxes, through its own government and parliament. It's not part of the UK and isn't controlled by the UK's parliament, but the UK does handle its defence and international relations. The British Crown refers to the monarchy, which at the time of making this video is held by King Charles III. The King's powers here are pretty much just symbolic and ceremonial, meaning he doesn't really have much power. The power comes from its own elected officials. It's fair to say that the Isle of Man has a pretty sweet deal. It kind of runs like its own country with its own rules, but it's protected by the UK and its allies. However, as it's not a sovereign country, it can't join organizations
and that's really good, because, you know, once you hear about island being able to run its own, like, self, it has its own government and everything, like governing system and all that. It's like, okay, who you gonna depend on though? That's the main question. I know that's the first thing that came to my head. Now, when it all comes down, push to shove, who you gonna be able to run to in the times, you know, desperate times and needs? Like, who is gonna have your back? And that's what I was curious about. The UK still got your back, no matter what. Plus, you got your own governance system, your own laws and everything out there. It's a vibe living out there, isn't it? It must be a vibe living out there. Anybody watching this video that lives on the Isle of Man? What?
NATO or the EU on its own. It is also surprisingly not part of the British Commonwealth. Its physical position is also very advantageous. As previously mentioned, it sits nicely in between Great Britain and Ireland. Cut off these choke points here and it'd be extremely hard for anyone to invade. The island has a pretty small population. Only around 85,000 people call the island home. This means that its entire population could fit into Wembley Stadium with another 5,000 seats spare. So 85,000...
No way! That's crazy! It's really small.
People living in an area of 572 kilometers squared gives us a population density of around 149 people per kilometer squared. The exact same as China, believe it or not. For reference, the UK's population density is 279 and Ireland's 72, so somewhere in the middle. Of the 85,000 or so people that live here, about 27,000 live in its capital, Douglas, which sits in the southeast of the island. There are two official languages on the island, one of course being English and the other Manx, a language believed to only be spoken by around 1,000 to 2,000 people around the world. It is classed as critically...
What? Monks on man? Bro, what? Nobody's ever did like a travel video, a vlog video here? I should have looked at it.
Spoken by around 1,000 to 2,000 people around the world. It is classed as critically endangered. This is what it sounds like.
Whoa! I'm not gonna lie to you. That's critically endangered. I can't understand. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying. Whoa! I'm not using subtitles. But like, you know, before when I first heard the Scottish accent, I was like, oh, what are people talking about? Easy to understand. Same with the Irish, easy to understand. This is a little different right here. Wow.
It's like...
The chick the reich, the agna the rougenter, talo mati ons now. Pudden and aran Jew skachle, at lie down the loch mati ons.
Sounds like...
The chick the reich, the agna the rougenter, talo mati ons now. Pudden and aran Jew skachle, at lie down the loch and metas in lie thousand the genu loch.
To me, it kind of sounds like a mixture of some Nordic language mixed with Irish and Scottish. Being from England myself, it sounds so familiar, but of course I don't understand a single word. Now, as mentioned earlier, the Isle of Man sets its own rules, with its tax rates being perhaps its most noteworthy. The island is classed as a tax haven. Most businesses see 0% tax rates. There are no capital gains or inheritance tax. Its no or very little corporate tax means it's a very favourable place to run your company from, especially for those in banking, gambling and shipping. For example, the largest online poker site in the world operates from the Isle of Man. Now, the economy size of the island is actually quite impressive considering it has such a low population. It's roughly $8 billion US. That's about the same economy size as Montenegro, a country with a population of around 630,000. This therefore gives the people of the island a GDP per capita of around $94,000 US, which according to the World Bank ranks them as the 8th richest people on Earth. However, take this figure with a pinch of salt, as this number is highly inflated due to the many large multinational companies that are based there taking advantage of its favourable tax rates. These companies generate significant profits, but not all of that money stays in the local economy or benefits residents directly. But what is $94,000 US in the island's currency? But what currency do they actually use there? You might assume it's the British pound, or maybe even the euro like the Irish. Well, it's the pound, but not the British pound.
Bro, they got their own bill? I didn't know about this. Isle of Man government promised to pay the... What does that say? The bearer? Am I reading this right? Okay, yeah. Pay the bearer on demand at any office of Isle of Man Bank Limited. £1. This has like a boot. This is... I've never really... Okay. See, this is different. I never really noticed this when looking at the flag. So this is actually a leg, and this is a boot. Oh, or like a foot. Okay. Do they all look the same like this? This is just one. This is £1. Are they all different colors or something? Different designs?
They use their own currency called the Manx pound.
Bro,
however,
what?
it is tied to the British pound's value, and British pounds can be used on the island.
Nice, nice.
So enough about money and tax.
So can they use the Isle of Man money in the British Isles? Wait, can they? Is it possible? I mean, it's got to be an amazing opportunity to be like, I received that type of money from that island.
Let's take a look at what the island actually looks like. So the island consists of one single main island alongside several smaller islets. The terrain is generally classed as being quite similar to that of England, to the northwest specifically, as both regions see lush green hills, rugged coastline with dramatic cliffs and sandy beaches.
Really nice.
This makes complete sense, seeing as though the island is believed to have been connected to Great Britain some 10,000 years ago during the Ice Age, when sea levels were much lower. But as the Ice Age ended, Isle of Man became the isolated island as we know it today.
Wait, so over the time, the islands were breaking away and the people that lived within those islands noticed it? How do you deal with such thing? Like, how do you go around that? You notice your island is like starting to break apart from the other islands and you became your own island. Like, that's really fascinating how stuff like that happens. My goodness. Huh. It's like they just watched the other island shift away over the years. It's like, say you live on an island. Your house is shifting? Like, what do you do in that situation? Does the whole island just shift, like, slowly and you don't even notice? Because you gotta notice, they were connected before in time. I could literally cross right here. Now I can't because there's water? You gotta notice that.
General vibe of the island could definitely be described as rugged, remote, and raw.
It depends how long it took for that to form and, you know, fully separate and stuff like that. It's not gonna happen like that to just notice, but...
Highest point on the island is Snaefell, which measures 620 meters above sea level. The island's climate is heavily influenced by the Gulf Stream, which means it has a temperate maritime climate, meaning mild, wet winters and cool, relatively dry summers. The highest recorded temperature on the island was 28.1 degrees Celsius in 1983, nowhere near the UK's record of 40.3 degrees. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the video, it has a very odd flag. This is what it looks like.
I like it.
So the flag has 3 bent legs not connected to a body. The reason for this choice is somewhat unknown. However, some sources believe that the 3 legs symbolize strength, movement, and balance. Now, the flag of the Isle of Man is not to be confused with the flag of Sicily, which is very similar and arguably the creepiest flag on Earth. Now, it's impossible to make a video about the Isle of Man and not mention the TT, perhaps the thing it's most famous for.
That's the only reason I know about this island.
TT stands for Tourist Trophy and is one of the most famous and dangerous motorcycle races in the world. It's a race where motorcyclists drive at insane speeds across the island's public roads, often exceeding 200 miles per hour. The event has taken place yearly since 1907 and has seen some 270 deaths. Now, excluding the extremely dangerous TT race, the island by some sources is claimed to be the safest place in the British Isles. Most of the crimes that are committed are non-violent offences like money laundering. The crowdsourced database website Numbeo actually has the Isle of Man ranking as the 6th safest place in the world.
What?
On the same website, the Isle of Man...
What? No way. When I do that, they give me a bunch of states, and I say the safest place in the world. And I still get the states coming up on my phone. I never would have thought Isle of Man. Get out of here, man.
And has a quality of life score of 218, which actually ranks it 2nd in the world, only behind Luxembourg. However, there is very little or reliable data to support this, so use your own judgment with this one. So there we have it, the Isle of Man in a nutshell. Sounds like a pretty nice place to live, right? Like and subscribe for more geography content, and as always, thank you very much for watching.
This was a beautiful video, man. I really enjoyed this video, man. The Geography Bible. This was great. I'm gonna need a lot of clarification on this video from my peoples, please. All my supporters in the comments, please feel free to educate me and include anything you feel went over my head or just wasn't simply included in this list. Feel free to add on. Feel free to educate your boy Strac. Please! Education is important, man. Especially if we do not understand. Because before, I never would have even known about this island if I never would have watched those racing videos. Like the TT races and stuff. I'm so serious. TT bike races, TT, what's the other one I watched with the Subaru? That was crazy. There's so many TT races I have watched, and I've never really took the time to be like, well, where's this all at? Because I've always imagined it's in the UK, duh. But, it's not. It's not, man. You see what I'm saying? You learn something new every day, man. Really enjoyable. I really appreciate this type of video. Educational. Thank you so much, my supporters. Everyone, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, turn all post notifications on. Feel free to check out the Twitch and Patreon in the description down below. have you ever had the opportunity to travel to this island? Maybe for a race or just chill with friends, family, or just because, maybe you moved there. Or maybe you happen to live on this island. I have like a habit of wanting to call it the Isle of Man instead of the island. So some reason I just feel like saying Isle. Oh my gosh. Please let me know. Do you live on this beautiful island? Everyone stay safe, and I hope to catch you all in the next reaction video.